how would you describe your personal game strategy?
That's a good word. Do you even have a strategy when you come out? So I moved away from Danville about 30 years ago, and I suppose started taking the tennis a little more serious, started trying to understand if I hit this particular ball to a certain place, why did I do that? Every ball had a purpose. And once I started realizing if I could hit, instead of 10 balls in a point, 3 balls in the point, because I've thought through it, it made it a little better. So having a strategy, yes. What type of strategy do I have? I wouldn't say I'm aggressive. I wouldn't say I'm consistent. I wouldn't say that I have a certain pattern. I'd say that I have a variety. And I think having a variety of game, whether it be topspin, slice, coming into the net, staying back, if you have a variety, then you keep it mixed up and keep the opponent off base. And that's what I really try to do. I want the opponent to not know what I'm going to do.
You've obviously been an important sustainer for SATA for a while now. Can you tell me a little bit about your organization?
The Community Foundation of the Dan River region has the ability to set up foundations, and I wanted to create something that was going to be geared towards outside activities, particularly in the Danville, Pittsylvania County area, to bring kids away from their computers, bring them out of the house, and get them active in doing something, whether it be hiking on trails or on the tennis court, perhaps even pickleball today, but something that would get them active along the way. So that's when we created the Collins Great Outdoors Fund, strictly for, again, outdoor activities.
Awesome. What are a couple things in terms of your relationship with SATA over the years that you really like about the organization?
Well, SATA, of course, is geared towards tennis, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say that tennis has been a major part of my life in so many areas. Owning a wealth management company and trying to help clients with their financial future, over time it does get to be some stress, and so one of the best outlets for me was getting out on the tennis court. And if I could get on the tennis court and release the stress, I was much more productive when I went in the office the next day. So it was a real win-win. But with SATA gearing itself toward tennis, I felt like, well, to be able to support that effort, I didn't have to do a lot of work. All I had to do was financially try to come up with some funds to help, because we had good people like you and Tim and Scott and keep on going down the list that were willing to put forth the effort. And what better sport, I think, as far as developing physical activity, being mentally alert while you're playing, much less particularly as you get older, the fellowship that you develop in tennis is just remarkable. So it's a win-win along the way.
For those considering sponsoring, what would be like the major benefit of sponsoring SATA, knowing that you've invested in that organization?
I think as you look back over your life and you look at things that have been very important to you, things you have a passion for, how those who are blessed not be able to bless others. So I just feel like that tennis has been such a big part of my life in developing friendships and developing healthy habits, the lifestyles. When I go to a tennis tournament, before I go to a tournament, I want to be physically fit. I want to have rested well. I want to have eaten well. When I'm at the tournament, I want to sleep well. I want to eat well. I want to be mentally alert. Win or lose, when you get through that tournament, you're still going to be focused on trying to get better along the way. So tennis is been a big part of my life, and I think with a lot of people, even at Stratford Tennis Club, it's been a big part of their social life and physical life. I think, how would you not want to give back some sort? So for me, and for anyone who can maybe financially help support along the way, you already have the leadership in place to be supporting the tennis with SATA, so why not help out with the financial part, if that's what's needed? So I just think that being able to support something you believe in while you're living, not after you've gone, is very important.
What is the top benefit to you that you've noticed over these years that tennis brings to your life?
Mm-hmm. Fall of '99, I played an 18-year-old kid indoors on hard court, and here I was about, I don't know, 50 years older than he was, something like that. But and I was able to win the match. It was good. But then 2 weeks later, because of a lot of stress that was in my body, It locked me up from my waist down, and I couldn't walk for 2 years. So for somebody that was playing tennis 3 and 4 times a week, and then all of a sudden, boom, it gets you refocused about what's important in life. I didn't know whether I was going to be able to come back on the tennis court. And 2.5 years later, I went out with the ball machine for 15 or 20 minutes just to hit a few balls to see could I do it. And I was going to keep doing this until I could get myself back into action. And I remember the first real match I played, my brain said do this and my body said no. And it took a while for the two to sync along the way. So looking at all that, and when you go through those struggles of life, not just with tennis, with anything, it should make you a better person. It should make you refocus about how can you do something to help others along the way. The joy of tennis for me, I'm still competitive. I still want to play good strategy. I still want to try to win a match. But listen, when the match is over, it's over. And hopefully you've been able to show good sportsmanship. You've been able to be fair about things because you hope tomorrow's another day you can have other opportunities.
What's one thing that you would say to anyone that's literally just starting out in tennis? It could be youth or adult.
I think to get on the tennis court and hit a few balls back to realize, hey, this is fun. Do I like this? Then take a lesson, take a clinic, do something to get your strokes right. Do not go out to the tennis court practicing bad strokes. It'll pay off big dividends in the future. And so get your strokes right. Even though the ball's not going in the court, it's going against the fence, it's in the net. Get the strokes right, and it's going to be the best thing you can do for your tennis game.
Where would you like to see tennis in the Southside area in the next 5 or 10 years, kind of in the near-term future?
I think Saddle has a good nucleus in getting people on the court. Being able to go through some basic structure for the tennis, basic lessons, keep it exciting. I'd like to see the next level, see those juniors be able to get up to another level, maybe with more of a dedicated tennis professional in the area, maybe thinking bigger in terms of do we have indoor courts here. If we do, then that adds another consistency of not just getting the juniors out, but also the adults out to have lessons, clinics in play.
Tell us a little bit about your history in tennis. How did you come to the game, and tell me the story.
So I didn't really start playing any competitive tennis to maybe 25 years of age. Basketball was my sport coming along, and I still think that basketball and soccer players have an advantage when they come into tennis because of the footwork. Tennis is about footwork more than anything else. So when I started playing on, I think that was Michelob Light Tennis League before Volvo Tennis League took over. That was a team effort of getting out on the court, and you always wanted to practice well, play well, not let your teammates down. But then at age probably 28, 29, when I maybe could afford to join Stratford at that time, which wasn't that much to join, I just didn't have any money, I was able to get with some of the, at that time, senior people, which I'm now one of those. But the Ben Kendalls, who was like 55 years old and #1 in the state. Frank Mead, maybe #3 in the state. Ron Charity, same thing, top 5. Then you get people like Bob Cage, #1 in his division of the 60s at that time, and #1 in the Mid-Atlantic. And so we had some strong senior players that were 30 years older than me, give or take. And when I would get on the tennis court, yes, I could run. I could chase balls down. I could hit them back, but I never had a plan of action of what I was doing. And these guys, as they beat me 0-0 and 3-3 and 4-3 and keep on going for several years, it took me 3 years to ever beat Bob Cage. And I remember distinctly coming up on the deck to see my buddies, and they'd say, "How you do with the old man today?" And I'd say, "Well, I lost." They were, "You let a guy 30 years older than you beat you." But 3 years later, I beat him 7-6, 7-5. And I came up to the deck because my buddies were sitting here, and I was so ready to tell them what happened. And they said, "How'd you do with the old man today?" I said, "Well, I beat him 7-6, 7-5. They said, "Well, he's 30 years older than you are. You're supposed to win." But I think these guys, they schooled me on how to place balls at angles. They showed me how to hit a drop shot. They would hit a drop shot, I'd stand there and look at it. I'd say, "Okay, I'm going to show you. I'd hit a drop shot on them after practicing. They would come back and hit a drop shot on my drop shot, and I'm still standing there watching it. So they were just masters at good placement of the ball, maybe not power, but placement and consistency. I really was in my mid-40s before I learned how to hit pace.
Okay.
Now the juniors are taught just the opposite. Hit pace first and you'll learn the consistency. And that's probably very true. But I was fortunate to get with some better players along the way to get from 3-5 to 4-0 to 4-5 and play some really quality tournaments to learn how to hit the ball.
So overall, following up a little bit about SATA, what's one impact that you've seen them make over the years that's impressed you or that you've enjoyed?
As I look at other geographical areas, and I do travel and play a lot of tennis, I see Danville before SATA as an area that catered towards adults, maybe even senior players in the mid-50s, 60s, etc. But did we really have a junior program? We didn't. And where was that next generation coming from? Now I see that we do have, with SATA promoting in the schools, it's going to rekindle the juniors, which is the future of tennis. And hopefully one day those juniors are going to be playing at Stratford, playing at the hard courts on in Danville. But that's the biggest thing, is seeing SATA has promoted the junior tennis level and encouraged adults to play some league play too, which had dwindled along the way.